Hello, Gabe Heller here. Jihoan's on YouTube and How Now Brown Couch on Twitch. And someone in the neighborhood has just started using a circular saw. Somebody gave me some free solar panels. I think they're a very old set from Harbor Freight. I don't really know. We had them in the windows of the porch for a while, but as you can see, the windows of the porch are very much in shade now that all these trees have leafed out. So we moved them up onto the roof of the porch. Eventually we're going to move them up onto the roof proper, but the cord at the moment is not long enough. So, as you can see, we have the cord coming down off the top of the roof here and just into the bottom of this window and right into a controller. Now the system we've been using for a couple of days since we did that just involves one of these power packs, which fortunately will charge via its own clamps. Now, as you can see from here, this is the controller. And the right-hand green light is flashing, which means this battery is full. Even though I'm currently using it to charge a power bank, we are losing power that we could be storing if we had a bigger battery. Now we could spend like $500, I think is the cheapest power station kind of a thing that you could get from like Bluettis or somebody like that. But I saw this at Menards, and we're going to test it out and see if it works. It was less than $200, and it is the MasterForce 6-in-1 power station. It's not very big, but then neither is our solar setup, so maybe it's exactly what we need, or maybe it won't work. Maybe you won't be able to charge it via the clamps. So I'm going to unbox it here and we'll see what we think. Tear the box apart before I even get it open. There we go. Now, before we bought it, so I found the manual online and we had a little look at the manual, and it says that it will charge via USB-C. So if everything else fails, I can charge it from this. Charge it from this thing. Oh, the thing I'm currently using is a Schumacher built for power 600 peak amps. That's more than this, only has 400. Little car starter thing. And this is also a car starter, but it also has an air compressor, and it's got its own charge ports. On this thing I had to buy something that goes into the cigarette lighter port, though that will also, this also has a cigarette lighter port. So yeah, options. Hopefully we'll get it to work via the clamps, because I bet they can take more power in than the USB-C charger can. So it comes with a little bag with air inflator attachments, a tiny little wall wart with USB-C. That's what the front of it looks like. Got a Type-C port. I don't know if that's the charge port. Oh, this is for charging. Okay, so this is the charge port. This is output then. Type-C output, and we've got 3 USB-A ports. Various amounts of power. Interesting. I guess this might... hey! Okay, so we can tell that it does come charged. That's good to know. This is where the cigarette lighter thing would plug in. And air. It actually tells you the PSI, and you can set it to go up and down. Interesting. Cool. Okay, and then I'm guessing on the back, so here we have one clamp, other clamp, and then on the back we have AC outlets. You can turn the inverter off, so the inverter isn't running all the time. That's good, because the inverter that I currently have does run all the time, as long as it's the clamps are hooked up. Another thing that it doesn't say at all in the manual is how many watt hours it can store. Let me see if it says it on the back. 1400 amps, but that's for the jump starter. The battery, 18 amp hours. Okay. And at 1400 amps, I'd have to do some math to figure out what that means. But in any case, there's all the information. So although it has some charge, we don't know how fully charged it is. So I'm going to test this charging port first, see if we can get it up to full charge, assuming it isn't yet, using the solar setup that we have. Alright, so we've got it up here. Here's the charging cable for this thing here. Our extreme, it just says extreme. The reason I like it is that it's got a voltage reading here. You can see we're at 14.4 volts currently, which is as high as it'll let it go before the light starts flashing. Sometimes the light starts flashing and the battery's full even before it gets to that, so I think to some extent that's telling me how much power is coming in on the solar, which is good because the controller is a dumb little thing that does not tell me anything like that. Okay, we are charging. We are at 60% charge, so I'm going to let this charge, and once it's charged, well, we'll see if we can do it entirely with the solar. If we can't, we'll switch to AC from the wall, and once it's charged, then I'll put a meter on it, and we can verify whether they are telling the truth about how many watt hours the thing, or amp hours, oddly, the thing can do. Okay, we're back, and in an impressively short amount of time, maybe about 30 minutes, it has charged from 60% to full. You can see that we're back up to 13.4 volts, but we're not at 14, and we're still drawing power. The right green light is not flashing, which means we are drawing power to recharge this thing from the solar panels. So excellent. I'm now going to unplug this, put a power meter on it, and use it to power some stuff in the house for a while, and we'll see how many watt hours it holds. So here we are at the back, and as you can see, I didn't notice before, behind this door is where all the air pressure stuff happens. Safety switch, I guess, needs to go to on. Here we have our power meter, and I guess we should turn the inverter on, since we can't necessarily reach the on-off switch when the meter is plugged in. Oh, there we go. The safety switch needs to be off, not on. I guess when it's safe, it doesn't do anything. But when it's not safe, well then, things can happen. Like this. Okay. We want function to be kilowatt hours works. I guess we're starting at 0.330 kilowatt hours. So just to show you what the other end of that extension cord is hooked to, I have it running to my projector. It's been running it for about 5 minutes with no trouble so far. Okay, so now it's shut off. First it made a loud beeping noise for a while, less than a minute, and then the projector shut off. The meter doesn't have any internal batteries, so we're going to have to plug it into the wall to see what it reads. Whoa, that's bright. Yeah, you can't see that on the camera, so let me turn the overhead light on. Okay, so it reads 0.429 kilowatt hours, which is a difference of almost 0.1 kilowatt hours, which means it holds basically 100 watt hours. That doesn't seem like a lot for nearly $200, though it does have some other features. We'll have to check out what the cheapest Bluettis model will hold and see if it's a better deal. In the meantime, I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to charge it directly from the solar controller. Okay, so I tried charging it just by hooking up the clamps, but it seems like if the charge doesn't come via the USB port, the meter doesn't go up. So if it is charging, it doesn't know it. But I did come up with this. So I have a pair of jumper cables hooked up on one end to the wires that go to the solar controller, and on the other end I have it clamped to that cigarette lighter USB charger I was using with the Schumacher jump pack. It's just a little fiddly. I can't bump it or it will disconnect, but you can see that the USB cable is plugged into the MasterForce and the light is flashing, which means it's charging. Now this isn't that cheap. The cigarette lighter USB charger was something like 20 bucks, and I don't remember what the jumper cables were, but at least you wouldn't have to buy a whole other battery. Well, it's been a while, and I went and checked on it, and you can see that the solar controller has switched off. This means that at some point power was interrupted, like a dark cloud went over. Now normally the solar controller would turn back on again when the sun comes out again, but only if it can draw power from the battery. So what we've determined is that this setup is one way only. Charge only flows from the solar controller to the battery and not back again. And with our particular solar controller, that means that when a dark cloud goes by or overnight, this setup will simply stop saving the solar power into the battery and not start again until you jump start the controller with some power. Now it's getting late today, so that will probably happen a lot. So I'm just going to hook it up tomorrow once the sun is out, and we'll see if we can get the battery fully charged. Okay, so it's the next day, and you can see now that the battery is almost fully charged. It's been almost fully charged for several hours now, and I'm beginning to think maybe some of the experimenting I did off camera trying to charge it via the clamps may have confused it, so it won't think it's fully charged until I drain it and charge it again. Okay, so we've been using it for a while now. We've managed to charge it completely, no problem, as long as we don't mess with the clamps, and charge it only via the USB port. We're going to try one more time to charge it with the clamps. So we've drained it completely. Here are the clamps. You'd want to be able to do this without this hooked up at all. So let's unhook that. But you'll notice that when we unhook the battery, the solar charger just turns itself off. So we're going to need somehow to get some power out of this, and it's currently like completely decharged. But maybe completely decharged does not mean absolutely completely decharged. Maybe there's just enough charge left in it to jumpstart the thing. So let's find that out. So I've got it hooked up. It's not showing anything on the front. Okay, so there is a little bit of voltage left in it. But so far, none of it's filtering through to that. Now there's the switch on the back of it, this big red switch, which has something to do with what happens when you're trying to use it to, say, jumpstart a car. What if we change the position of the switch? Now you can see some charge is going through, and this is starting to work, but it says that the battery is completely not charged. Now if you look at the front of it, the charge is going up, so maybe that switch determines whether the clamps are hooked up or not. And the voltage does keep going up, so maybe we're charging the internal battery. We've tried this before, but the meter does not show up and the meter does not go up. So if it is charging the internal battery right now, it doesn't know it, and maybe that will turn out to be a problem. I'm going to try switching the switch back. Interesting. And it switches off. And so does the solar controller. So the switch has got to be in this position if we're going to have a chance of anything else happening. You did notice that, like, temporarily the voltage went way up to like 16. I don't know what that was about. Maybe somebody in the comments has some idea what was going on. But in any case, we're going to leave it like this for a few hours. And after that, we'll see. So we're back a little later, and you see that the number has gone up. And you can also see the controller is working, and it thinks that the battery is in good shape. So we've charged up something. Is it the battery inside here? I don't know. If we try and press, say, USB to get it to, it just beeps at us, but maybe that's because this is on. So let's unhook it here. Hook our other battery back up so we're not completely throwing away all of our solar. Okay. And then let's try hitting USB. The number's gone down, interestingly. Oh, sorry. And flip the switch the other way. There we go. So it says battery's empty, even though we've been charging it maybe for a while. Now if we hit USB, it doesn't want to do the USB because the battery's empty. But we think we've been charging it. Maybe it just doesn't know that it's been charged because it didn't come in through this hole. So let's send some electricity in through that hole and see if maybe we can convince it that it has some charge. But we need to know how much electricity we're sending in. Because otherwise, maybe we'll just end up using the electricity we sent in. So here we have, again, my voltmeter. My cat is trying to get onto the porch. If you hear that in the background, that's what's going on. And there we are. 0.589 kilowatt hours is what we're at. I'm plugging it in with the charger that it came with. I'll just use this cable the other way around. charging. Plugged into here. Okay, it thinks it's charging. You can see the light flashing there. And we'll just come back and we'll see how many kilowatt hours have been put into it. And then we'll see how many kilowatt hours we can get out of it. And then we'll know whether it charged at all via the clamps. Okay, we're back. And we're at 0.625 kilowatt hours. And it still only says it's about 40%. But let's see if that's correct. Let's see what kind of power we can get out of this. So we're plugging the meter in here at 0.625. And we'll plug this lamp in. Okay, I've plugged it in. Hey, the lamp is on. And we're currently at, who knows? Yeah, 0.625 kilowatt hours. And I'll see what it's at when the lamp turns off. So the lamp is off now. Let's see what we've got. There we are. Hopefully eventually we'll settle down so we can read the thing. 0.629 kilowatt hours. So it looks like we actually didn't get more out of it than we put into it. So I guess it's not, can't really charge via the clamps, and you're going to have some kind of weird arrangement if you want to use it directly with your solar panels without anything in between. We're going to keep it regardless because we like the other features that it has. We've got a couple of old cars where the tires tend not to hold their air, especially during the winter. So it's just great to have the air pump that just will automatically set them to the right pressure. We don't even need to check a gauge or anything. It just it keeps track of the pressure and runs the compressor until it's all good. And we like that a lot. But I can't necessarily recommend that you buy it if you don't need that particular feature. We checked out the cheapest Bluettis. It was like $200, and it holds twice as much as this one, and this was almost $200. So, yeah, unless you like the particular features this one has, or you just really need to save that extra 20-30 bucks, it's probably better to get a low-end Bluettis or something like that. My cat wants to go on the porch. Bye for now.